Damn, son, where'd you find this?
People don't be offended by the truth. They be offended because you called out the truth. Simple as that. They don't want to hear any other narrative that makes them look bad.
And one thing I can't stand at this big grown age is somebody who act like cause and effect does not exist. Like, yes, your actions caused this outcome. Yes, what you did lit the match. Like, why are you surprised and playing victim?
Guys, Chico, they never lie.
That's how you know somebody doesn't respect you. They listen to reply, not to be understood. They cut you off. They minimize what actually matters to you. They laugh at your boundaries, and then they call you sensitive when you try to hold the line. They show up late, they cancel last minute, forget the things you've told them, because in their world, your time, your energy, even your voice aren't a priority. They're just an option. You see, there are two kinds of people. Those who adjust when they realize they've actually hurt you, and those who expect you to adjust so they don't have to change. You don't need to be disrespected loudly to be disrespected deeply. Sometimes you'll see it. It's just in their tone, in their patterns, in the silence after you're known. Respect isn't what they say when they're watching. It's how they act when they think you'll tolerate it.
Happy Friday, peace and blessings, glory, praise, and honor to the Most High. We are here, we are alive. Only a few more weeks before 2026, and this has been a very, very strenuous year, a very controversial one. From start to finish, you name it, there's something that we have covered up here. From drama to personal to mental to spiritual, it's been a roller coaster. I got Sydney in the building. I'm humble and grateful for this young lady, man. She's been a backbone to this platform. I want to send my thoughts and prayers out to Rob, to Coach, to Zay. I want to say thank you for the intro to my brother Arcana. Shouts to Chef. I got a clip I'm gonna play for y'all. It doesn't really give its just due to this particular story, but then again, it's too much to go over. The documentary is here. Let me bring Sid up here real quick. The documentary is here, and a lot of people are talking. A lot of people are angry. A lot of people are frustrated. Sid, what's going on?
Hello. I just thought I'd show these off since I just finished them. We have a gallery thing for the holidays tomorrow, so I finished some of my sculptures. That one's obviously Rudolph. And then snowman.
Nice.
And a polar bear.
That's what's up. That's what's
I
up.
haven't finished the tree yet. I have to finish decorating it, but I also have a Christmas tree.
Okay. That's
and
nice.
I like talk about it, but I never show them on the stream. So I'm like, well, I have some right here, so I might as well show it this time.
It's nice to see people in a holiday spirit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not mad at it at all. Look, the documentary is out, and there's a lot of mixed reactions to this. One particular person and his team went out of their way to try to stop this. This is what I'm going to do, though. This is Marlon Wayans speaking on it. Just one of a number of people who had something to say about this. What are your thoughts about this, viewers? Sid, how do you feel about it? Have you seen it yet? Do you think 50 Cent is hating, or he has like a vendetta set out against him to try to destroy his career and ruin his life? That's what all of this is about. So this clip is about 9 minutes. If I need to pause it at any given moment, let me know. I will. But I want you guys to be fully invested within this conversation as possible. So let me bring this up on the big screen here. And I'm gonna let him get his bars off.
We ain't baby all close. But yo, look, Puff is
Nah. You working with Puff?
Puff for 30 years.
You saw Big before he passed?
Yeah.
Bro, so you're close. And Jack, what were you saying?
In the documentary, there was insinuations of, that Diddy possibly had something to do with both Tupac and Biggie. And,
Who's telling the story, right? You can skew
People very close to the situation.
but you can create any narrative as a producer and as a director and as a storyteller. I can create a narrative. I could be like, you know what?
You have?
I could create a narrative.
Well,
I could be
we see it all the time in reality shows.
Reality shows.
Yeah,
You're creating a narrative.
Character.
It doesn't mean it's true. It doesn't mean it's true. I can get interviews. I can do this. I can get footage, and I could make you think this about that person.
Nah, for sure. Yeah.
And that doesn't necessarily mean it's true. So for me, I think, look, 50 and Puff have a long-term beef. It's personal.
People are saying 50's wrong for doing it, but 50's right for doing it. It's divided.
It's between him and Puff. And before it's between him and Puff, it's between both of them and God. Just the way Puff is down on his luck and 50's kicking a man when he's down.
God is going
to. If 50 ever luck turn up on 50, that you got to be careful what you put out. There's a karma to every action that you do.
What's up, everybody? This is the world famous Ed Lover, and you are watching Forgotten Kings TV. That's right, Forgotten Kings TV. Come on, son.
People are still reacting to the latest Diddy docuseries on Netflix titled The Reckoning. That's right, Charles. We all know earlier this week, 50 Cent and Netflix released their 4-part docuseries exposing the many claims made against Diddy. All right, now for the record, for those who haven't seen the docuseries yet, most of the claims made in this docuseries have already been floating on social media, interviews, and other platforms for many years. Okay, just to put that out there. But not long after its release, Diddy and his lawyers sent over a cease and desist. Okay, I want to read the statement released through Complex. Okay, I'll make sure to leave the link in the description so you can read the full article. But according to Diddy and his lawyers, they say this whole docuseries was a hit piece. Okay, they're saying that Netflix originally reached out to Diddy to do this project back in 2023. All right. However, they wanted, and when I say they, Netflix wanted full creative control. And this is why Diddy declined to do this project with Netflix. Okay. But again, according to the statement released on behalf of Diddy and his lawyers, they say that the choice of 50 Cent to produce the program was Netflix's vindictive response to that rejection. An attempt made by Netflix to ensure a one-sided character assassination rather than a balanced and accurate portrayal. All right. Now, of course, Netflix, they responded to Diddy's claims, saying that the claims made by Sean Combs are false. Okay. This project has no ties to any past conversations between Sean Combs and Netflix. Right. The footage of Combs leading up to his indictment and arrest were legally obtained. This is not a hit piece or an act of retribution. Curtis Jackson is an executive producer, but does not have creative control. No one was paid to participate. All right. Now, again, according to the statement released on behalf of Diddy and his lawyers, they say that many of the people featured in this docuseries have had long-standing personal grievances, financial motives, or credibility issues that have been documented for years. Okay. Several of these stories have already been addressed in court filings, and others were never raised in any legal form because they're simply not true. The project was built around a one-sided narrative led by a publicly admitted adversary, and it repeats allegations without context, evidence, or verification. All right. Now, again, that was Netflix responding to Diddy and his lawyers claiming that this whole project was a hit piece, and initially he was approached to do this project with Netflix. Okay. And listen, somehow, some way it ended up in the hands of 50 Cent, because again, a lot of people are wondering, how was the footage obtained, right? Because you look at the docuseries, you see the people that were around Diddy leading up to the day of his arrest. It was obvious Diddy was shooting his own project. And for whatever reason, the footage ended up in 50's hands, and here we are. You know what I mean? A lot of people being very critical of 50 right now, simply because, you're putting yourself in a situation and, you're making so many claims against Diddy, and it's not just about the claims in regards to the Diddy Cassie controversy. Now we're inserting the Pac and Biggie claims. Like I said, it's a lot to unpack in this 4-part docuseries. But again, a lot of people seem to be upset with 50 for even involving himself in the project over this, the feud involving him and Diddy all these years. According to 50, Diddy asked him to take him out shopping, and 50 didn't like it. Okay. And since then, according to 50, he's been looking at Diddy funny ever since. But just moments ago, 50 trolling Diddy again, just made this post on IG. According to 50 Cent, man, he said Diddy sent him some flowers. Look at this. What kind of gay shit is this? Diddy sent me flowers at the Club 11. LOL. Wireless foreplay. Get busy. I'm stupid. A warning. A 90s grimy. You don't want me. 50's crazy. Look at it. He said, a warning. I'm a 90s grimy nigga. You don't want me. LOL. I mean, listen, 50's been having a field day right now ever since the release of this docuseries. Like I said, a lot of people seem to be upset with 50 for even involving himself in this docuseries, right? Again, they have this issue going back and forth, and some feel like, what is the point of kicking Diddy while he's down, going through a situation, right? We understand how this wicked system is, constantly going on these witch hunts, going after black celebs and entertainers and creatives. So people feel like it's messed up that 50 coming from the streets would even be involved in a project like this, because again, it's a lot of claims that already been around, right? They just put it together, found the right filmmakers to tell the story. But again, the claims made, right, were already existing in many different interviews, clips. Like I said, shout out to MREC, his interview with Gene Deal. If you are tapped in with that project, right, because MREC and Gene, they did a series of interviews. But if you watch those interviews, then you're already privy to most of the claims being made in this docuseries. Okay, of course, you got people like Kirk Burrows, who used to work with Diddy. He's making claims. But like I said, it's just a lot to unpack when we talk about the claims in this, because again, it goes from the allegations in regards to the Diddy Cassie controversy to now we're veering into the murders of Pac and Big. Okay, something that a lot of people have been researching, right, for many years and trying to figure out who was involved. Okay, now for the record, last time I checked, we already know who was involved. CIA, FBI, government agencies. Okay, that's just for the record. But according to these claims being made in this docuseries, they're saying that Diddy cut the check for the murder of Tupac Shakur, while also, pretty much blocking Biggie from leaving LA, right, to go to London. According to this docuseries, Diddy pretty much told Big he had to stay. You know what I mean? And like I said, the rest is history. But the point is, a lot of claims being made in this docuseries. I mean, outside of the video that we all seen with Cassie, a lot of stuff, like I said, has already been revealed to the public. And for the most part, like I said, a lot of people have been very critical 50 in his involvement. Okay, we understand when it comes with 50, it's not over until he's ready for the beef to be over. But the point is, a lot of people sitting back And for the most part, like I said, I'm seeing a lot of people who are entertained by the project. Then there are those like Marlon and others who feel like, you know what, I don't even want to partake in this whole docuseries because, again, we already know how this works when it comes to this wicked system. Now, I will say after watching the docuseries, it's obvious, Diddy has had a long history of doing things over the years, and he made a long list of enemies. So again, this was a perfect opportunity for everyone to air out their issues, whether true or not. Like I said, according to Diddy and his lawyers, they say all of this was a hit piece. But y'all let me know, man. What are your thoughts on this Diddy docuseries, right? Titled The Reckoning. Did you?
I know that's a lot to unpack, but yeah, people aren't really happy with it. And you heard Marlon at the beginning of this particular discussion, even though this is just a small little piece of it. We've covered this before. We've shared a lot of different perspectives on this. Well, first of all, your initial thoughts on this right here. Marlon making the case that, well, if you are a director or a producer, or if you have a camera and you have editing skills, well, with the right circumstances and imagination, you can pretty much paint whatever narrative that you want. Looking at this video, knowing that this man has spent a very extensive amount of time crafting this, is this what they are arguing? They wanted it down. They don't even want it up at all. I mean, it's too late. It's already been clipped and it's already being shared all across the internet, just not going away. Is there a case here to say, well, you don't have the right to put this out? It's malicious. It's not factual. Most of the people that are involved in this are here because bad business, bad relationships. So they're angry, they're scolded, and this is just their attempt at pretty much staining this man's name. What are your thoughts initially, overall, so far?
Sorry, my computer's funky because I dropped it a couple of months ago, so it'll occasionally freeze on me. I'm kind of looking at it from two perspectives. One from more of a moral perspective, and the other from a kind of law-based perspective. From a moral perspective, I think it's pretty tacky that he'd create a video like this, documentary, just to basically smear somebody's name, because honestly that's what it sounds like to me. It doesn't sound like there's a difference between creating a character piece to talk about somebody, or to, even if it's like a negative person, to bring an educational standpoint. I'm sorry. Let me change locations. There's a difference between like creating something to be a character assassination and creating something to be kind of an educational piece. Like, this is an extreme example, but like, I've seen a documentary they've made about Hitler. I've seen a documentary they've made about like various serial killers and stuff like that. And they're obviously not like promoting those people, but they're talking about it from an educational standpoint. Like, what did we learn from this? What can we gain from the history and what not? And just from what I'm reading about the documentary, it does not seem like it's taking that standpoint. It does seem more like a character assassination video rather than a like this is his person. This is let me talk to you about who this is. Especially because right now he is relevant in the media with all of the stuff happening with his case and him, all of the conspiracies around him right now. But they don't seem to be having that approach with this particular one. This does seem like a blatant effort to paint him in a very negative light. I mean, literally pinning him on 2 murders, one of which was supposedly one of his best friends and mentors, with Biggie. I looked that up. I don't just know that. But from a law standpoint, there's nothing really they can do because with freedom of speech, the only thing that it would not protect is threats to somebody's life, threats of harm, imminent lawlessness. So if you're about to commit a crime and you're making a documentary about it, I guess it could technically go to like defamation of character. But that would be the only thing that they could really use to kind of like, yeah, we have to take this down because that's not appropriate. But the whole thing is they would have to prove that everything said in there was false. And given that a lot of those are linked to conspiracy theories, which don't have a lot of evidence, if I remember correctly, neither of the murders have been solved. And some of the stuff posed about him in there are true to some degree. It might be hard to use defamation on that basis, but I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know exactly if that's how it would go, or if there are other loopholes and whatever that they could use. But from a legal standpoint, I don't think that he can really be faulted for this. Like freedom of speech, if they want to put that video up, they can. Like there have been a lot of documentaries that have come out that are wildly inaccurate, putting out factually incorrect information. I mean, there's been plenty of like anti-scientific documentaries and all sorts of stuff that are like opinion pieces that they promote as science. But freedom of speech, you can't really like, oh, that's wrong, you have to take it down. So just because he's making false claims isn't reason that would allow that to be removed, unfortunately. But I do think it's a bit like, why would you? I mean, he's already in prison. Like, why? I guess maybe that's why he's like, now that he's in prison, let me talk about this person and all the things that I think about him. But it seems very personal, and it's like, why do you need to make a documentary about it for the entire world? Like, why couldn't you just, I don't know, do it in private or something? But I guess such is the life of famous people. They need to make money, make fame off of anything they possibly can. So if you have a feud with somebody, why not make a documentary about them?
So the way that I'm looking at it, right, is the amount of time that it would take to piece together something like this, the manpower, the conversations that you would have to have. You can't just throw something like this of this magnitude out to the public and then expect that you're not going to have sides. This is one of those those situations where folks are going to argue if this is justified or if this is a smear campaign. Is this the light being shined on the dark, or is this spite? Is this just an adult being a child who just wants nothing more to do than rub in your face how much they don't actually like you as a person? We can argue for the rest of our life about the crimes that were alleged or factual. When it's all said and done, the only parties that's going to know if it's true or not is God and everybody that was involved personally. But for 50 Cent, Curtis Jackson to spend all of that money collecting all of that information, from my understanding, he had information that a lot of people that was closest to Sean Combs didn't have. How did you get this, but we didn't have this? He went out of his way to collect all of these details and all of this information. You know a lawsuit is coming. You know the lawyers are coming. You know the publish is coming. You know the podcast are coming. The commentators are coming. The spectators. You know everybody is going to be examining this. So you've been sitting on this information, whether or not we see it as honorable or not. You've been sitting on this information for X amount of years, just piling up, all for the perfect time for you to bring it out here. Weighing your options. You already know what's going to come with this as soon as you put it on display for the world. And you say, I'm willing to take whatever comes with this. So with that being said, why would anybody in their right mind spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to put all of this together, get a production team, get personal security guards, friends, and you have folks under confidentiality clauses. They're not giving out names and not you doing all of this at the risk of the scrutiny that's going to come from your peers in the industry and all across the board, and you still put it out. Why would someone do that if the information was inaccurate? Why would someone go to that extent just for all of it to just be a lie? Granted, though, Marlon made a point. It's very possible. All you have to do is put the right clips together and it'll sound like whatever you want it to sound like. If I'm petty and I'm trying to make you look like a crappy person, all I got to do is take text messages and take conversations and video chats and screenshots and add some nice little theme music to it, and then be a pretty decent narrator. And there you go. So I guess with this situation right here, it's a matter of, is this about justice or is this about something that's just childish and petty? Because You know, in the industry is dark. You know, people get screwed over. You know, these people get into certain little things that they don't want nobody to know about, blackmail, etc., etc. We all know that it happens. What do you do with this? It's out there. What do we do with it now? You take it for what it's worth, or do you just brush it off? Genius, very genius from a marketing standpoint. I got a lot of fans out here that love to see me troll. If I'm 50 Cent or anybody in the industry, and I got animosity with somebody, and I know what the algorithm wants. Oh, this okay? Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give y'all that. Y'all want drama? You want to see fighting? You want to see people flexing money? You want to see what it looks like when rich people go at it? You want to see what it look like when broken people go at it? You want to see exposure? You want to see scandal? You want something to gossip about and talk about with your peers and your friends? Okay, I know what y'all entertained by. I got y'all covered. From a marketing standpoint, oh yeah, everybody going to be watching. Everybody going to be talking about it. Why not? He been trolling P. Diddy, Sean Combs, whatever the hell you want to call it. He been trolling the dude for years. They've been going at it for a very long time. And not even just I'm a yield right here. I just wanted to say, like, we really got to put this into perspective. What are we really speaking on when we address this? Are we talking about whether or not this is accurate information that he put out to the public? Are we talking about, is this out of spite? Are we talking about what's right and what's wrong? Are we talking about the manipulation of the people? Are we talking about false media propaganda? Are we talking about strategy and ways of monetizing off of somebody else's pain for their own financial abundance? Like, what are we really looking at here? I yield the mic.
As we were kind of saying in the chat, I definitely do think this is petty. But it is a pretty, as I also said in the chat, an advanced level of petty. Like, to dedicate all this time and work to put together just a whole video on everything about him. And it really kind of speaks to the level of distaste or hatred. I don't know what word you want to use for it, but type of resentment that he has for Diddy, just to have all this energy to put into a full documentary. Because, like, it's not like a news report or like a little blog or whatever that takes a day or maybe to put it together. Like, documentaries take a long time to put all the pieces together, to create it, to film it, to then edit and whatever. You need like a whole team to put it together, unless you're doing it yourself, and then in that case it's taking even longer. But we all know that he probably had a team doing this. So this is definitely a component of their feud. Like, there's no doubt about that, because you don't do this for nothing. And like, put all this work into somebody that you don't care about at all. He very clearly cares about him, just not in the good way. I think it's a bit, I don't know, it kind of reeks of obsession in a way, in the sense that, again, it takes all this work to put that together. So to have this much malice towards somebody, to be like, I'm going to make a documentary about them, is pretty crazy, even for a celebrity. Like it kind of makes me think to a small degree of the I'm blanking on who it was, but the back and forth music feud that was happening over I think it was over the summer, where they were like rapping about each other and going back and forth and doing like response rap and stuff. I remember my husband was really into it and he was playing the songs. I just cannot for the life of me remember who it was. But it kind of makes me think of that, where it's this type of like celebrity feuding. But to a degree, I think also beyond the emotional component, there is probably undoubtedly a financial component where it's like rage bait, like views are views. And when you make money off of people knowing your name, even bad publicity is still publicity. You're still going to make money off the documentary if people are watching it out of rage, or if people are watching it out of curiosity, or if people are watching it because they are actually interested in the educational component, which there probably isn't any. So he's going to be benefiting from this documentary, whether it's true or not, because he's going to get money from it. And so I think that's another thing that we can't forget about is there's still a means to profit from this particular thing. And I think also another aspect is the fact that Diddy can't do anything about it. He's behind bars. So apart from like acting through his lawyers or people that he does know, he can't like rebuttal it or anything like that. It's just gonna sit there for however long. I think it said like in the 30s, 2030s or something is when he's getting out or something like that. So he's gonna have to sit there while it's getting views for a very long time before he's even able to really come out and talk about it, unless somebody like personally goes in and interviews him in the jail and stuff like that. And obviously he's not going to be making any rebuttal documentary while in prison. So I think some of it is the publicity aspect of it, especially because Diddy is in the news very frequently as it is. So it'd be very easy to make money off his name because it's fresh in people's minds. And like just by searching his name, you're going to come across the documentary, which is another good source of publicity. But then there's also that aspect, I think, of timing where he's able to do it now because like he can't do anything. He's literally behind bars. He doesn't have access to that type of ability to make content. So I feel like there's aspects that are contributing to why he did this. I think the last thing on the list is education. I highly doubt he's doing this because he's like, yeah, I want people to know about all of these facts. I think most of it is to further his own name, and to kind of profit off of the existing fervor over Diddy and all of the stuff that he's done. And given the fact that he just got prosecuted for a bunch of crimes, he probably was like, oh yeah, then it'll be easy to throw a couple more in the pot. Which I think is kind of ridiculous. I mean, granted, people are going to have their conspiracy theories, but I think it's a bit sad that you're going to try and blame him for 2 deaths that, to my knowledge, have not been solved yet. Especially, as I said, I think one of them was his friend, at least. But, I mean, who knows? People surprise you. There's been some conspiracies that have been proven to be true, so you never know, really.
One guy did confess to the Pac shooting. I don't think there's a single soul on this planet that believes that he's not guilty or has some part in that. Whether or not it's ever proven, that's one thing. But here's my problem. You guys have been around each other for years, all of you. So you've already had this information in your back pocket. Period. Why all of a sudden now y'all want to bring this stuff up? Why wasn't you talking about any of this 10, 15 years ago? Why 2025? Why once he's arrested? Why wasn't anyone going this hard before to bring this to the table? Now, my only concern or like care is about putting the right people behind bars. Period. If you need to be in jail, then that's what need to be done. I could care less about your position of power or who you influence. Y'all been in that industry amongst each other almost the same amount of time, if not one being longer than the other. Y'all already had all this. We shouldn't be now having these conversations. Whether or not this man did what he did, like we won't fully know 1000%. Again, I think it's a great marketing tool. I think it was hella smart. I think it's a waste of time because I put it this way. So you got all this information. You just said it. A documentary takes time, takes a lot of resources. If what is in this is so factual and so accurate, damaging, then wouldn't then you think to give this to the judge, to the prosecution, to the team when he's in court and he's going through his trial or he's getting prepared to be raided at his house? Wouldn't all of this information have already been given? They said even the FBI didn't have what was in this. So if you got all of this damaging information that could put him behind bars, why didn't they have it? Why now all of a sudden you doing this? This can't just be over a female. As much as they get passed around in the industry, it can't be just that. Can't. It got to be about money. It got to be about building more bridges, or maybe you just don't care about burning any more of them. Busta Rhymes is mad right now. Busta Rhymes ain't really happy with 50 Cent right now because his name has come up a few times. What are you upset for? This ain't gonna be no different than the Epstein files to me. If you got any dirt on you and you attached to him or anybody associated with it, then guess what? Nobody cares. I don't care. Because if you was out here messing around with little kids and you was doing weirdo stuff, and now it's all coming to the surface, then it need to. So I don't know. I don't know how much of this I think is him just trying to be a savior. I don't know if he's just throwing salt on the wound. I know it was one of the #1 shows on Netflix, so he accomplished that goal. Everybody was tuned in. So if you wanted to wow the people, you definitely did that. Let me ask you a question. To you, what's the purpose of a documentary to you? From your perspective, what is the purpose of a documentary? You brought up Jeffrey Dahmer, Hitler. There's a long list of them. That they all have different things that went on within them. For your sake, from your seat, what is a documentary design, or what does it do for you when you're sitting here and say, all right, I'm gonna turn on this channel, I'm gonna type in this, or I'm gonna program to watch this because of this and that? What does that look like to you?
To me, a documentary is basically a deep dive into a specific topic. Depending on the type of topic, it could be for education, such as if you're talking about earthquakes, hurricanes, whatever, or if you're looking at like different places in the country and travel documentaries and going into detail to kind of show how something is, how something works, whatnot. It could also be an exploratory / educational type documentary, such as with history documentaries, pic type things where it's about a specific person, specific group of people. So to expose the person or to talk about the person, to celebrate a person, to explain the impact of a person or an event, or to kind of like break down the bits and pieces of something. For example, like documentaries on certain events, they'll usually do a breakdown of the timeline. One I specifically have in mind is like I've watched a documentary on 9/11, and they basically like at this time this happened, at this time this was happening, and they interspersed like interviews with people that had been in that experience. I've also seen that with like natural disasters and historical events, Great Depression stuff, you know. Um, and then I think also some of it can be more of a conspiratorial style where there there's no cut and dry like this is what happened, but they're going over a theory and like this is what our theory is. Here's all the evidence that we found. This is what it could mean. Here are the experts talking about what these different things could mean. I've seen all kinds of stuff ranging from like religious discussions, who is Jesus Christ, like was he real, to stuff like obviously I've seen stuff on the aliens, you know, just things that Amelia Earhart, like things that have not been proven yet, that they use to explore the different avenues and explanations for what could be. So overall, it's a breakdown of a specific topic for the purpose of expose and education, getting that information out there and allowing people to deep dive into it, think about it more deeply, examine different aspects of it, and kind of understand a specific thing from a broader standpoint with many points of view in there. Like, usually, documentaries are supposed to include many different voices, like people who are there, experts of it, people who experienced it or were affected by it, stuff like that. And it's because of the longer format, it's definitely for people that are more invested in the topic. These are not things that are for like passive listening, unless you're like way beyond that, like you already have that knowledge and you're just kind of listening to it in the background. But typically, if you're watching a documentary, it is to absorb the information and gather a new perspective, point of view, whatnot. Out of curiosity, I did look up why 50 Cent said he made this documentary. And what he said is that it was to give a voice to victims, hold a powerful figure accountable, and prevent the perception that the entire hip hop culture condones the behavior that he participated in. He also said that he wanted to provide context to the allegations against him, using footage and interviews to show the human impact, while acknowledging his past rivalry with Combs. I find that one kind of interesting. And then the other thing I found kind of interesting, earlier it had said he's going to profit off this. Apparently the proceeds from the documentary are going to the victims of his crimes. So I don't know how much money he's getting, but it seems like the profits are not actually going to him largely. Granted, he's still getting the attention from it, but he is trying to support the victims of Diddy's crimes. And he said the entire project was inspired, or most partially inspired, by Cassie Ventura's lawsuit, because he wanted to give a platform to those people who were abused, and give authentic perspectives about what had happened. So he seems to, at least from how he's framing it, granted we don't know how he's feeling underneath, he seems to have a very kind perspective, a moralistic kind of like rebuilding type perspective with this, and purpose. So hopefully he means what he says, because that would kind of make this a little bit less divisive, I think. But that is also assuming that everything he posed in the documentary is 100% true, because it does kind of defeat the purpose if you're trying to benefit people but also using false information about those people. So I do find that interesting. It does definitely fall in line with what a documentary is supposed to be, multiple different perspectives going over certain issues, in this case a single person, and doing a deep dive into like who he was and what he did and all of the effects of his actions, and other potential connections.
Man, 50 Cent a troll. I don't care. He be trolling his ass off. You don't really know when to take him serious. When he do business, he do his business. But he's very vindictive. I don't really believe in holding grudges. I will allow God to get in the middle of it. I'll step back, take my hands off of it, and let him do what he do. If the money is going to the victims like he say it is, that's dope. That's dope. But come on, man. Again, why did it take the trial to be motivated to do what was right here? He don't need the money. He don't. And his name is solidified. He has his own path. He has his own TV shows and all that. His catalog is solidified. He's straight. This feel like a side mission. I told you so. all these people, he's the one that says something. You got all these friends, Danity Kane, 112. We can go down a whole bad boy list of folks that's been right there with him and seen everything that was going on. Nobody said nothing until recent. I do agree. That man didn't do enough time. They trying to get him out every single day they go by. Every single day. He in jail smiling and laughing and all that. And if I'm seeing what I saw, he sent a subliminal message to 50 Cent at one of his performances, sent that man some flowers. Some people they'll just dismiss it, but if you know, you know, it come off as if he's telling that man to tread lightly. If that's the case, it's all messy. It's all messy. A bunch of grown adults who got money in their pocket. You lived a specific type of lifestyle that involved people involuntarily, allegedly. It involved people who shouldn't have been involved. It involved illegal activities. You use your position and your power to manipulate, control, and abuse. And this is pretty much the sum of it. Period. The fact that this man, I don't know if y'all have all seen it yet, but I tell you what, if you haven't seen it, watch it, come back to this video and tell me how well it aged or didn't age. Because everything that is being discussed, it was well crafted. Nobody takes that much time out of their life. I'm not about to sit here for 5 years putting together any type of movie for somebody. Like, no, you don't live rent free in my head like that. Unless I'm trying to get you up out of here. Unless I'm trying to get you up out of here. My final question before we close out. Does this documentary change anything? Does it make you look at anybody that is involved any different than you did today or yesterday? Does it change the music you listen to? Does it change the people that you pour into? Does it change your perspective about Hollywood and the industry in general? Does anything go back to normal after this documentary? Or do we just go on with the rest of our life, move on to the next trend, and that's it? Are you at the mic?
I think sadly, well, me personally, it doesn't really change much because I never listened really to their music as it is. And I didn't really know them very well anyways. With society, I definitely think it's what you said. We are such a fleeting moment society where our attention span is just itty bitty. And most people don't even have the attention span for a full documentary, which is hilarious. Most people want to see 5 minutes or less, and usually like a minute or less, and then they can't sit through anymore. Go somewhere else for a second, okay? So I think it's an example of that, or it's going to be another example of that, where people are going to be fired up about it, but 6 months, a year, nobody's really going to talk about it. Nobody's going to think about it. It's not going to be one of those like world shaking things, because he was already associated with crimes. Diddy was. So it's not like this was a revelation, the thing that brought it to everyone's attention. So I don't think that this will really change much, in at least for passive viewers, listeners, whatnot. If you're fans of them, like big fans, it could potentially change your perspective, your trajectory, with it, because it might shift your point of view towards a person. But I don't think this is going to be like a world shaking documentary. I think the topic is I mean, it probably, or potentially, hopefully, has some impact on the whole idea of like the victim part of, like, people don't want to support the victims, victim blaming, awareness of the rampant abuse within the more not what is it, celebrity kind of arena. So it could potentially lead to more exposure to this type of behavior that does exist in Hollywood. But I don't know. I don't think it's a big enough deal to really create like lasting repercussions. Like, I don't think there's going to be laws that are changed because of this. It's just one of many celebrities that make at best poor decisions and at worst are really terrible people. So and he's not really that influential of a person. It's not like our president is being found for certain crimes. Like, he's just a singer. So yeah, I don't think this is really going to be something that lasts very long. Once the hype of it ends, people are gonna move on.
I don't think it's going nowhere. It's like Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson's legacy will never die, right? Because of what he's done in his life. They are even working on a museum for that man. Now, Sean Combs is not getting a museum, but what he's done, what he's contributed, the people that were affected, that's not going anywhere. But I will say that our attention spans, they're definitely going to shift. There was a post that I saw where they signed off on something involving the Epstein files. I can't remember exactly what it was. So everybody's attention is about to divert over there to that. So this right here, people are going to chop up the video. I'm gonna give my predictions and then I'm gonna close out. My predictions is, and technically I already said this was going to happen anyway. Earlier in the year, probably before that, I said people were going to start talking about it. Everybody was going to start wanting to have one-on-one interviews. Oh, I got a story that I want to tell about this. I was 5 years old when this happened. Everybody going to do it. Now what's going to happen? More people are going to try to speak out. More people are going to chop the videos up. You're going to see more memes. You're going to see more Giphies, and you're going to see more remixed videos with auto tunes and sound bites added on to it for fun effects. Somebody's going to create a whole animation series out of it. Watch. You heard it here first. There's going to be a 50 Cent P. Diddy cartoon or something. I know it is. I know it is. Somebody going to use AI and turn it into something if it ain't already out there. But money ain't everything. Money ain't everything. Power in the wrong hands is very dangerous. Picking your friends and people that you do business with is very important. If I ever make it big, I'm not, nope. It won't be this. My hands won't have no blood on them. Period. I see stories like this, and I'm like, man, I'm glad. I'm glad I wasn't given that too early. Thank you that I wasn't put in that position that like, hell no. And end up a monster or end up like some, no, I'm cool. But I do thank you for pulling up, Sid. Shout out to everybody in the building. Tiff, appreciate you for hanging out. What are y'all thoughts? How do you feel about this documentary? Leave a comment in the comment section. Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? Was it too far? Was it justified? Let's have a convo even after this, you know. But we about to get up out of here. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all night. You know how to reach me if you need me. Let me see. We can I'm gonna hit you up. But we out. Enjoy the rest of y'all night. Oh, I'm trying to get my hair as long as yours.
It's like down to his back now. Bye. Oh, you want to say bye too? Bye. They know the outro now. Bye. You say happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Y'all take it easy. We out.
Bye. Bye.